idea, but I wonder what the catalyst is to make us stop versus that didn't make them stop.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. But I want to know your thoughts.
As a generation, we're a lot more open-minded than, and also.
Yeah, my Haitian cousins they're younger than me. They're like, nah, my one is pregnant right now, so I'm beating. Said,
really?
Yes, she was born and raised in Haiti. She came here after the earthquake, I think, or like a few years after the earthquake.
Because my cousin said that she was like, yeah, I'm beating my kids, and then she had her kids and she never did.
True?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, well, that's positive. But she always thought that she was like, yo, no, gotta get. And I'm like, oh.
No, one of them is only a year older than me, and has two, and she's like, oh, we have APT, what pump one? I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I was like, I'm around kids all the time. Like, I might leave the room. I know my patience. I know my. I'm not saying I'm gonna become a perfect person, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think to what you both said about like just creating those boundaries. Sometimes I do also feel bad. It's kind of like I don't know how many years. First of all, the reality is I could go for my mother, right, or whomever. God, I mean, whatever. And sometimes I'm just scared that if I create those boundaries, I won't have this exchange.
Yes.
Like maybe there's hope that I have that's not grounded in facts because she hasn't proven that she was, apologetic or had a similar unconscious or whatever. I think I learned a lot about my mother through my aunts and uncles. Like, oh no, you don't understand the way that like my mother specifically, like the way that she was treated. I'm just like, can you tell me? Can you share? Because that would help me. Maybe be more patient when she says things like, why did you shave your head? God, why did you do this to me? I'm sad. And it's like, why did I just send you a picture? Like, or I don't want to, colorism sort of things. So those situations, I think that like understanding or sharing stories, the more it allows me to tell my kids the stories about their grandma and great grandma, but also helps me to. And I think us as a generation too thinks they have the answers sometimes, and it's just kind of like y'all don't even know what half of Haiti is going through right now because y'all don't you don't live there. Y'all talking about these Gamoon like they weren't whole ass people too, you know?
Yeah. Constantly talk about my therapy and like going to therapy twice a month. And like this would really do you some good. Like you would benefit from this. Even a group therapy, all of you, my aunts and uncles, that would be so great. I try to like brainwash her. It doesn't work at all. But like, it did give me some peace knowing that like, it's just some of the things she's done is just learned pattern. Mm-hmm. But like, I just want so much better for her. why don't you want better? Even now, I still think she does a lot of things out of like fear of her mother, and her mother like lives with her. She's like taking care. I'm like, a lot of that stuff you think she says to you. I'm just gonna. Yeah, that's why I'm from Florida.
Yeah.
I turn my phone on. My phone's currently on. They can't contact, and they've been trying to. Like, just because I need a few days of peace, and then I'll come back and be like, mental health days, and my grandma's like, mental what? You need what? But I need it. Like even then I feel bad for like not picking up the phone or like, but like it's not productive if I'm upset already at something or like you are who you are and I can accept that you are who you are. That's how I live with someone. You are who you are. It's the most peaceful way. But doing your sweet comments or like blogger comments for also for your mental health, I would scan very likely to excessive opinions, especially of those that have never been to Haiti.
Actually, just when you think that's an easy way to make money. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I read them for my own edification. That I get tight. I'm just like, what the fuck is people saying? What are you talking about? Like, if you could vote, Trump was your president at one point. Like, why are you mad about fix your country first? How about that? But I don't know if it's the stubbornness in me, and this personally, I've had this the last few months. The idea of hope, I'm trying to execute it, and not execute it actually. Execute in the way of kill it, not execute in the way of carry it out. Like just stop having so much hope. But I think it's easy to see the way that Gamoon will be Gamoon. But it's the way, to see the way that they kind of stagnate their own life bothers me. Like I can like, if I say, yo, you can go to an hour of therapy, and do you understand how your life can look so much better and feel so much better? Your relationships can be so much deeper. With your kids, with your whomever, with each other. Because I would not put my aunts and uncles in a room and have a group therapy session. They're gonna get along at a barbecue. I mean, in their own way.
They don't. But maybe.
Yeah. I mean, they get along. I'm being facetious, but no. But I think when you start to dredge up those hurtful memories, I think a lot of the way that I see Gomun as dealing with them is to not deal with it, because that's the most peaceful way that they know how. Whereas we're able to, by the grace of, God, a copay of money, to explore it in a way that we understand that it won't cause the amount of harm that they think it will cause. I think they're scared a lot.
Scared of
revisiting their life.
Okay. Shame, maybe.
That's real. No, that's it. There's probably more to it, but that's literally it.
Yeah.
That's literally the trauma. I remember what she was saying earlier, with how her mom didn't want to discuss. Like, she literally lied to say it didn't happen, exist.
Me, and how it helps me cope with like day to day or like things that I don't understand, and having a neutral place to just let it all out. It has done me such great help. And maybe it might not work for my parents, but at least try it and see, like, will that heal some of your traumas? Like, is life gonna feel a little bit lighter on you if you release that? Like, there's just so much years of like things that's happened that you haven't properly released, and I'm not trained, or like I don't have the capacity to help you unload that for you. It wouldn't help. And if it doesn't, okay, but at least I know there was an attempt to release the trauma. That's my, like, just because I know what it's done for me and how it's helped me even cope with my like relationship with my parents. And like I've always, in meeting other people like you all that like think like me, for a long time I didn't know them, and I always felt like an outcast, like I'm like weird, or like they tell me I think I know everything. I know everything. I don't need gumlins, but like I all my life, they even told me when I was young I needed to be a lawyer because I argue with everything and I question everything, and I think you should. But yeah, yeah.
Totally the same.
And I still are like, why? Like, you do something, tell me why. And you should tell kids why. They're learning. Why can't I ask why? Why would I get a whooping for asking why? That makes no sense.
I forgot about that one. It's right?
Yeah, I was bold too. I was asking why in Haitian Catholic Church. My first communion, I got in trouble because I was asking, like, why do I have to tell the priest all my sins? Like, he knows my grandma. Like, he might tell her. Like, that was, this is good reasoning for a 7-year-old, but I got a whooping for that. Like, it's true. I know he knows my grandma. Yeah. And he is a sinner. He might tell her, like, what I did. I'm not going to tell you. I got in trouble for that. Like, it's just, I know what it's done for me. So maybe for them, it would make life a little easier. It's not going to heal everything because it's so much, but it's a journey, you know, it's something. And if it didn't work, then we know it didn't, and we just accept it for what it is. But like, at least try it. Like, to be completely against going to therapy, to me, seems a little not trying to like feel better. Or maybe they like the way they are.
I think oftentimes, like, my cousin says this. He's my favorite cousin, one of my favorite cousins. So since you recorded, oh, y'all my favorite. But he said the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. So it's like they're coping, which is not really coping. It's refusal to acknowledge, number one, the trauma they experienced and the trauma they put onto other people. Because you've heard, oh, Pastor just that. You beat my ass. You don't remember. I remember. But sometimes, I don't know if they're lying, or if they actually just stuffed it down because of their own guilt. And to answer your question, I think therapy allows, like, my biggest thing in this world, I believe in reincarnation, but this is the body I have at this moment. I want to go to my deathbed knowing that I explored my life. That includes all the travel that I do. That includes my relationships, romantic, platonic, familial, otherwise. But that also includes like being the best version of myself while I have time. And therapy has allowed me to experience the world in such a better way than I had previously. And had I not and sometimes you don't know what you're missing. And I think they don't know what they're missing. Like, hey, if you talk to a therapist, you can have a deep relationship with your daughter. You can have a deep relationship with your son. You can have a deep relationship with your siblings where maybe the sister that was favored because she was light-skinned, maybe you also understand her perspective. Or you were raising all these kids and you think it's a great thing, but how about maybe you start to have compassion for yourself and then maybe you have compassion for me. It makes me sad that like there are people that can come and go in this world and never be able to explore and feel that feeling of like being able to say shit, I was wrong, I fucked up, has made me such a better person. And also being like, oh, that person was fucked up for what they did to me has made me explore a world of feeling that is so much more grander than you would see on the eye. It's like, oh wow, I can feel compassion for myself. Like that shouldn't have happened. This shouldn't have happened. I do deserve this. And it just lets you operate in the world so much better. And I want that for the people I love them. Like it's not like, I be talking about shit, but I do want them to like be able to have this freedom. And admitting your fault is freedom. We're having intergenerational exchanges. We're all peers at this point, as I can see, but age-wise. But we are more so focusing on our relationships with our elders, what it means, what boundaries need to be set, if any, what the value of their story is, exchanging or converging, whether or not we need to understand them, or just like how we operate in those spaces where they may or may not acknowledge your value from your generation. Vanessa made really good points about like the elder in her life thinks that everything is disrespectful. If you talk back, which is just having a conversation, but talk back, ask why, say no, that isn't considered disrespectful. And I made great points about like, sometimes like you have to be clear about what your boundaries are. Like she's seen a video where a 30-year-old woman was passionate by her mother. She just like, if things like that happen, you might just have to remove yourself from the space, or like, it may need to be a phone call, it may need to be like, something further than that.
Even if I may not have always loved myself, because a lot of us, we go through our internal things, but externally, you're not gonna let nobody else hate you or disrespect you. So generally speaking, we always love ourselves, or at least like ourselves. And we don't know our best self yet to not like our current selves and to know we need to love this version yet. So when you're liking yourself, you're liking what you're currently living under, because you're not at your best self yet. And they don't know what they're missing because of that. Because a lot of our Haitian family, to answer your last question when you said, why is the newer generation more receptive to the change, to, for example, not beating their kids? Education, we have more opportunity, we have more freedom, we have more resources, and we know how we were treated and how we don't want to be treated, or how we don't want our offspring or people we love to be treated, because we had to live and soak in that trauma, as opposed to them, they had to continue to perpetuate it from generation to generation. That generational curse was continued, it wasn't ceased, especially when we're coming from our home like Haiti, the first revolutionized nation, and to now be put under such persecution for a long time after our freedom. That has created immense toxicity and dysfunction that our Caribbean family also endures. That our Black American, excuse me if I'm calling them the wrong name, but our Black American family in the hoods and the ghettos of America can also experience. So for me, therapy looks like a lot of times we already have it. I don't need to go talk to a professional who has a degree from these institutions or a white person for that to be my therapy. What I learned from the gum, when they finally talk about it, that's their therapy. And then when they listen to you living in all your freedom, that's therapy. And I don't want to over-romanticize when I say this portion, but therapy for my gamoon and me and that convergence is freedom. It's not the freedom we know we need, the 1804 million kind of freedom. It's not that one, but it's freedom, it's liberating, it's cleansing, it's making you feel lighter, it's a load off. And even when I joke around, because I put myself even out there, I was raised like an orphan. So me and my inside experience is gonna be a little different, because I understand when you have those ties and you're like, you feel, and that's why I break away, because that's dangerous for me. For me to feel like, oh, I care about you, and then I let you abuse me. Take my shit up with that duba.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times nobody cares to know your story.
Yeah.
Especially when you're seen under the men already. Who else cares for your story other than your children? Nobody else is asking you. Timaï, Georges and Georgia, c'est just gossip not fair. Y'all not being, oh yeah, we want to stop. No, they're not doing that. So when your kids are like that, it's like it makes you tap into somewhere inside of you that you haven't visited and you don't want to go, and your value, your self-worth has been diminished by other people. And your culture too.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think definitely. And also it seems like safety too. Because like, by the way, I have a podcast called La Vie en Creole, and one of our episodes is called Haitians and Their Names. And then my so Jefferson, we talk about Vanessa, Valerie, Manushka. But that's
they will never let that go.
Listen, ever. Jean, Pierre, like, guys, we get it. You're Haitian.
Beyonce has all the Haitian names as his name. His name is Jean-Pierre Jacques. All the names.
All of them. I always joke, like, my last name is Jamawi. I was just like, I couldn't lie. I wouldn't ever want to, but I couldn't lie if I wanted to. Like, Jamawi. And then that's when I found that out. One of the co-hosts, Sparkle, she said that she just like how, but she referenced Africa. She's like how it's a thing where they'll give you, like, you'll have your name, you'll have a whole bunch of middle names, but then you'll have like a nickname. Also, I don't know if it's the same with y'all, but all my aunts are Mari something. Like, Mari was my kind of Mari, that. And when you do that, then they don't know which one to call. Like the Nubaus or the evil spirits, the evil eye, or whatever. So I was like, oh,